but I am very much so looking forward to going back to Disney. Have I made videos on this channel where I have criticized Disney? Yes, but I am, because I'm an honest vlogger, there's always going to be things you don't like and like about a company. Disney will always be superior to Universal when it comes to the immersion that their resort offers. It is truly like nothing else. And I am really looking forward to going back to Disney. I will run up to Mickey and hug Mickey. I joke that I've been scared of Donald Duck since I have been very, very, very young. I remember an incident at the Contemporary Resort with the buffet there where I got up when I was very young to go get like candy or something from the candy bar. And the duck was there and he was walking towards me like this, and I ran away because the duck scared me, and ever since then I've been very scared of the duck. So I will work through my fear and hug the duck. And I am really looking forward to going back to Disney. Let me get into some of the things I do like. I think that the Imagineering of Disney property and Disney hotels cannot compare to anywhere else regarding theme parks, at least that I have been to. Yes, if you want to say, here's the France Pavilion at Epcot versus going to France, well, we know one is France and one is, you know, the swamp. But the Imagineering and the immaculate condition that Disney puts into their resorts is on another level. You go into, you know, Riverside and you're walking on the floor and you will notice that the ground has little imprints of leaves on the floor that look like a leaf fell onto the floor and left an imprint. And when you are, for example, at Port Orleans Riverside, which is still my favorite resort, it is a very immersive experience. You know that you feel like you are truthfully in a different place other than Florida. You know, some experiences like Port Orleans is truly an immersive experience. You do not need to go anywhere else when you're staying at Port Orleans. If you want to do a staycation at Port Orleans Riverside, there is enough to do there between, you know, horse rides and the arcade room and the restaurants there. There is enough to do. And then the fact that there's the free boat shuttle to Disney Springs, you can make that your trip in itself. And the care, design, and Imagineering that goes into Disney cannot compare to Universal. And that's me being a very honest person, because you know how honest I've been on this channel, and you know I've said not flattering things about Disney. So for me to say something, you know that it's how I truthfully feel. You cannot compare Port Orleans Riverside to for example, Cabana Bay. You just cannot compare. And if you want to say, oh, well, a higher level hotel, you can't compare it to the Hard Rock. You just can't compare. The immaculate design and the immersive experience that Disney offers is, you can't compare to Universal. Universal feels at times like a worn out carnival. It feels like an old circus, an old carnival. I gave it a very willing chance. I bought annual passes because I felt that I was going to really go there a lot. I've been very disappointed. And before this whole thing happened with IBCCS, I was only there for a 3-day trip, and I was very let down by a lot of the things I saw. I thought that there was a tremendous amount of neglect to the property. My dad almost fell into like a rock area on this walking path that went from Sapphire to City Walk. He could have very easily fallen in. There's a situation with the elevators in Sapphire where one point the front one opens and the back one opens, and you don't even know, and if you were leaning you could fall, and I told my dad, move, it's going to open. And they put the bare minimum into those hotels. There's no immersion. You do not feel like it's an immersive experience. And I noticed that when I went to Universal, I checked into the Cabana Hotel and I felt this sense of disappointment with Universal. I realized that I did not feel the way you feel when you check into Port Orleans. When you check into Port Orleans, you feel like you're leaving your worries behind. You feel like you've checked into a magical world, and you are paying for that. You are paying for immersion. You're paying for this experience where you enter another world and you truthfully feel it. And that's why you get so sad when you leave Disney. And when I went to Universal, I just did not feel that. And that's not me being critical because because I'm mad at them now with the IBCCS. I really did not feel that same level of immersion that I get at Disney. You walk around the Animal Kingdom, for example, the park. The park is essentially a zoo, and they care very well for the animals at Disney. From what I understand, they actually follow zoo guidelines at Animal Kingdom, and the animals look very happy. And the park is immaculate. The park, you are walking, and there's chirping, and there's noises in each section, and it's truly a amazing what they have done with Imagineering. And the same goes for the Animal Kingdom Lodge. You go into the lobby and you look up and it's like, wow. The Wilderness Lodge is a beautiful hotel. You walk into that hotel also with the holidays and it's wow. And I hope they don't destroy the Grand Floridian. See, that's me making a critical comment. I liked the Grand Floridian the way it was before. I hope they don't destroy it because it was good the way it was. As far as immersion, care to the park, hotels, park, it doesn't compare. When you look at the park layout, for example, of Universal, they are small parks. It feels like a big loop, which is what it is. It's a circle. There's really no immersion. Except for Hogwarts with the castle, they don't even play around with that technique that Disney does a lot, where things seem bigger or more stretched away than they are. That's the only time they really did that at Universal. And quite honestly, I'm speaking very honestly, and if Universal didn't have the licensing to have Harry Potter World and theming, I never would have gone there. I remember, because I grew up in Miami, I remember, my dad saying to me way, many years ago, do you want to go to Universal? You've never been to Universal. And I said, no, I don't want to go there. I want to go to Disney. Years later, Harry Potter World would get the licensing would come to Universal. And it was only when Harry Potter World came that I raised any eyebrow that I had an interest in going there. And as I've expressed on my channel, I don't know if you guys recall me saying this, I have been to Universal LA once, Universal Hollywood once when I was really young. I don't remember it. And if I've ever been to Universal Orlando before this last time I went, then I was really little, but we do not believe we've actually ever been there, only the one in LA. And, went there out of interest in trying something new over that 3-day trip I had over my birthday with the holidays. And I was, my biggest thing that I was disappointed with Universal, which I haven't spoken about in my other videos until now, was that it didn't feel immersive. I didn't feel like I was entering another world. I felt like I was checking into a low-level hotel with an environment that just wasn't, anything great. There's been blogs and you'll see different people have talked about, I think there was a woman that hurt her finger on one of the rides, and another person I think got hurt with the ET ride. And I think there's just a lot of negligence with the park. I just don't think it's upkept well. As far as their Epic Universe that's coming out, the fact that you have to get on a bus and travel quite a distance to get to it, and people would say, well, at Disney you have to get on buses to travel to different, yes, but it's all one giant internal property. It's all their property. This is, you're getting on a bus and you're traveling down the street, the highway. It just feels like it's going to be another mush added on, and it's just eh. As far as, one of the things I had talked about being better at Universal was cost, that the hotels were significantly cheaper at Universal. And now I know cost and worth are two different things. You get what you pay for. There's a reason that the Universal hotels are, especially ones like Cabana and Aventura, are so much cheaper than Disney. Honestly, those hotels are worth $80 a night. And then the Surfside Inn ones are worth $20 a night. And it should come with a warning, your car may get broken into, which they've had happen. I had someone in the comments, they were commenting on my Cabana video, and they wrote, well, as far as I know, there's been no incidents at Cabana and no brawls and no fights or anything like that. And I'm like, the day I checked out or the day after, which was December 6th, maybe December 7th, the incident happened. There was a major incident involving the security and a drunk guest, and there was a whole incident, it was on the news. an incident at Cabana. So it's like, as far as people being like, what are you talking about? Universal is such a safe area. It's like all of the streets are part of public street access. It's not the Disney bubble, which people are criticizing me, and people will be like, go back to your Disney bubble. I want to go back to my Disney bubble. Disney is a lot safer than Universal because Disney is a very internal property. You have to drive a very long time just to enter the gates to get to where the hotels are. And if you look on Google Images of maps of how the property looks, take any hotel, it's surrounded by so much marsh around each property and everything is internal. Yes, it's a lot safer than Universal, which is along the highway and along public streets. And that's not something Universal makes it very well known to people. And I have people come in the comments and they'll be like, what are you talking about? The area around Universal is super safe. Unfortunately, that is not true. And you'll have many, many reports on the news, unfortunately, about very sad, bad stories that happen around Universal property. Just down the street from Universal, you have motels and bad areas around Universal, and there are some very scary, bad, sad stories that come out of those areas, and people will be like, oh, all places have that. No, that's not true. That's not true. You have a sketchy 7-Eleven. It's literally almost connected to the Riverside, and it's literally right outside the door. I could only imagine what that street looks like at midnight if you came out of the hotel and you took a walk down the street. You probably wouldn't want to see the 7-Eleven festivities at night. As you guys know, I have been publishing quite a few videos on my channel about Universal Orlando and how disappointed I am with what they have done regarding the Attraction Assistance Pass with the new IBCCES thing. And not only do I not feel that this is ADA compliant and all the things I've gotten into, but shifting from that conversation, I wanted this video to be about specifically how I am going back to Disney World. And what does that mean? Yes, I have so let me explain. I have posted a number of videos on this channel also about Disney. There are things that I think that they need to improve on, and I stand by those things. For example, the dress coding that they do at Disney, I feel at times almost gives off like a mean girl type of vibe. If you're going to enforce something, enforce it for everyone, but don't kind of single out girls. Maybe if you truly feel that someone's outfit is inappropriate for a family environment, or you're truthfully very concerned about like a halter top or someone getting caught in a ride or something like that, that is one thing. But please do not, to go after someone's outfit and turn it into a green light for mean girl type stuff, where maybe just someone doesn't like how someone looks or goes after them, that's a whole other thing. There's a blog that someone was talking about dress coding, and they show a girl wearing very normal shorts and a very normal tank top, and it's like a cute image of a girl, and it's like, if that's what and this is a person's personal blog, and I'm like, if that's what you're using to represent inappropriate, then that is not normal. I still do stand by that. I feel that the Disney room inspections are very odd. We all kind of know why they're happening. And they are one of the only places that do this. And I think that, do I feel every cast member is a safety concern? No. But I think it's an odd thing. And when we check into a hotel, we have a certain reasonable expectation of privacy. And they need to work out a better thing with that, where it's either on a very clear schedule, or you can really, really make a request and they will follow it as to when these people come into your room, because it is a very, it's an uncomfortable thing. It's an uncomfortable thing, and they can walk in on you, and it's still an issue. There is currently a lawsuit with Disney where a young girl was fired from her position at the World of Disney store, and this involves the claims that she has made that this related to her disability and such and such. Obviously, that's not okay. I put out a video on my channel talking about that I've had bad experiences with the DAS Pass, because I had someone who looked at me and felt that I was a pretty girl and that you couldn't have a hidden disability. I spoke about on my channel that the Star Wars hotel was a mess, and I expected that it to close, and I'm not sorry about it. I'm going to be very honest. I can tell you right now what it needed. The idea of having the Star Wars hotel be a excursion where you book it for a multiple night immersive experience for a fee, I think it was extremely clever. You didn't think I would say that. I think it was extremely clever to have an idea where you're booking an immersive trip to a spaceship, and that instead of it being a nightly rate, you are booking for an immersive experience. The thing is, sometimes good ideas don't sell. That's life. A lot of ideas get pitched in meetings, and I think it was a very clever idea. But if I were someone that was at that meeting and heard that idea, what I would say is that this sounds like a very interesting, creative idea. It's very clever, but I don't feel it's financially feasible. That's what I would have said. That not all the ideas that are clever should be done. And what they should have done, if they wanted that to have been successful, was to have had the Star Wars Hotel at a nightly rate where you could book it by the night. Maybe there could have been some immersive experiences, kind of like when you go on a cruise ship and you book a tour, and you could book the tour and then they take you and do different things. So maybe there was a way to have different gimmicks like that once you're staying there as extras. But it should have always been a daily rate. It wasn't feasible. It wasn't accessible for people. The average person couldn't afford it. It just was a cost and worth type of thing and just not accessible. I also think that there should have been a pool. You would come back and ask, well, how could there be a pool on a spaceship? Well, if you've ever been on a Royal Caribbean cruise, right, and the solarium is an area where there is a smaller pool, it's usually for more adults than, young people running around. And the pool, a lot of times, is open. It has kind of like a covering, or sometimes there's a dome that covers the pool. So you could have had a gimmick with the hotel where there was like, the same way you would have like a greenhouse on a spaceship, or a place where, with vegetables, you could have had it where there was a pool and there was like a dome over it, and maybe there's like greenhouse around it, and it's like this idea of recreating Earth life but on a spaceship. But there should have been amenities that were worked into the idea of a spaceship, and it's like, and that way it would have been more of an attractive hotel, because people still want amenities when they're checking into a hotel. At times, the Disney prices have been very overpriced. I think some of their gimmicks, like Disney food plans, have been a waste of money. Things that I have put onto my channel that I stand by, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't go back to Disney. It's just me being a very honest person and a very analytical person and telling you what I like and don't like. I'm very proud that at this moment Disney has not done what Universal has done with the IVCCS. Has there been flaws in their system? Yes, but I am still really looking forward to going back to Disney. And as far as content, what I want from people who, if you criticize me and be like, oh, well, you've talked negatively about them, you have to look at the full story. You have to look at my channel, look at the different videos, look at how we got from point A to point B to point C, and understand how my mindset is growing, the things I'm still annoyed by, the things that I'm growing with, and where my current thoughts are. But I am very much looking forward to going back to Disney. And if I went up to Orlando to go on vacation or feature a theme park, it will be Disney. If I moved potentially up to that area, I will focus primarily on Disney. I probably would be a very long time since if I step back foot on a Universal, because I don't like it. I don't like it for a variety of reasons. If you had the option, go to Disney or Universal, why would you go to Universal when it's just not a good package? So I'm very much looking forward to going back to Disney. Very, very, very excited. And I don't know exactly when that will be, but you will be the first to know. Some people have wrote in my comments that they are also upset with Universal, but they voice that Halloween Horror Nights has always been a really big deal to them. I am someone personally, because this goes on personal taste. I can't really say anything on someone if it's their personal taste. But I have never been someone who's liked horror or those types of movies. They make me stay up all night, and then it affects me. I don't like it. I like action movies, I like comedy, but it's never been my personal cup of tea, and that's okay. So Halloween Horror Nights never really interested me. I've been to a thing with the mummy. I don't know if it was Halloween Horror Nights. This is, again, when I was very young, and I don't know if it was Halloween Horror Nights related, but it was something with the mummy. And I remember it terrified me. Not interested in it. And, you know, to compare, people have been like, well, you can't compare it to the Mickey's Not So Scary Party. Yes, because it's made for families, and one is, you know, something that people are going to get their adrenaline up. And for me, for my personal cup of tea, I'd rather go to the Mickey's Not So Scary Party, because that's what I personally enjoy. And there's people who agree with me, and there's people who disagree with me. There is a burlesque show that Universal offers. I'm not sure. It might be a different ticketed event. I'm not quite sure how that works, or if it's part of Halloween Horror Nights, because again, have not been to it. Is their burlesque show that they have in the evening, and that absolutely does not interest me at all. I've seen images from it online. I've seen videos of it online. It honestly creeps me out. I could say that more on that. Some of you may not know. I worked in the entertainment industry, and I do not mean YouTube. I worked as a background actor on major film sets, Allegiant Divergent series, the movie War Dogs. I have worked in production of my own mini show that was on a local NBC television station. But I have worked in the industry for a long time. I was in theater as a young person, performed at the Broward Center. This is the same theater school that Ariana Grande grew up at in Fort Lauderdale theater there. I've been in the industry a long time, and I don't like the vibe of the burlesque show. It gives off an eerie vibe. It's kind of creepy. It has a lot of like themed innuendos with it that go beyond Halloween, all of that vibe. It has a lot of innuendos to the show. And some people might be into that, but I think it's a little weird that that's part of a theme park. Honestly, I would never go to something like that. And it just gives off bad vibes. You know, as someone who has worked in the entertainment industry, I was always familiar with stories of industry parties that would go on that mimic what goes on at that show, if you could believe it. And there are some notorious stories, and I do not need to pay to go to a theme park to see some weird, creepy show. It's not my vibe. Life is tough enough, and we go through enough during our daily life that when I go to Disney, I want to have, you know, a immersive experience that helps me calm down, that helps me have an enjoyable evening. I don't want to then have my adrenaline and these experiences. You know, I've actually heard stories that a lot of people will actually check into hotels when they choose to go to Halloween Horror Nights, because number one, they want the true experience and to be accessibility if they're staying at a hotel. I've also heard stories that they want to stay in a hotel because they get so creeped out that they want to be able to go back to a hotel and kind of like recover a little. I've actually heard vloggers refer to it that way. They're like, okay, that was really fun. Now I'm glad I'm going back to the hotel, and I can like, they actually refer to it as, now I can recover a little bit from it. And that's just not my vibe. But yes, I am going back to Disney in general. I'm very, very happy with going back to Disney. It's much more my cup of tea and for me. So that is me posting this video on this channel so that you understand how we got from point A to point B to point C. And that way you understand why you probably will very soon start to see footage of me at Disney again. You'll understand, you know, the full idea of my channel. There's going to be things I like, there's going to be things I don't like, hence the idea of Nicole approves. But right now I approve of Disney, and I approve of going back to Disney, and I'm very happy with that. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you all. I also do have YouTube channel memberships and Patreon if you are interested in supporting me more. And thank you so much, and I will see you soon in my next video, and bye.